Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Choir Directors Academy weekly seminar on Intellectual Radio Live, and also to my diehard family, sweethearts, my sweethearts over there on the Facebook side. Welcome. I'm glad to see you all out here with me on tonight. Do me a favor on Facebook, like and share. You know what we do. We like and share, and we tag, and we let everybody know that we're out here. Intellectual Radio family, text your friends, call them, and let them know that the weekly seminar is here. I want to give a couple of shout outs. I see my friend Elder Kelvin McGee, who has a connections show on Saturday at 12 noon. You all should check him out. It's a lot of other of you out there. Type in your name so I can give you a shout out. I want people to know that I'm not here by myself. Last week we had a show. We had a nice young man with us on last week, Darrell Green of One Voice in Victory, Arnett's One Voice in Victory Choir. They released a CD entitled You Can. And we talked to him on last week on how he was inspired and how he came up with the song and his history in music. Just an all-around nice young man, and he has great ideas, and he's really striving to do the best that he can in Christ and also in the music industry. So we want to support our young people. Yes, we do. When they're doing something good and noteworthy, we want to support him. His song You Can is on all digital outlets, so let's support him, download, and just help him out and encourage him in the way. I want to thank you, Charlie. Yes, he's already answering the question. I haven't even got started. Yet. Last week, my producer Earl came to me with a question. He said, "Are choir directors necessary for the choir to sing, perform, or whichever terminology you want to use? But are they necessary?" And he brought up the point that back when he remembers going to church, the choir directors were basically selected because they were the best singers in the choir. And we all know that to be true because, I'm growing up in the church and I love my church. I love the Church of God in Christ. I love them. But a lot of times they would pick people also based upon your singing abilities, and you can riff and run and you're in charge of the choir. You may not have any clue or background or any management skills that are necessary in order to do the job. I want to give a shout out to my mom and dad who are watching. So I created a poll and I put out there on my Facebook family and I said, cast your vote. Are choir directors really necessary for the choir to sing, for that department to thrive and grow? And 97% of you all said yes, a choir director is necessary. And 3% said no. So I told them, put your comments down. And I had one of my friends, he's a music enthusiast as well. We call him Dr. Alvin Carter. He said, definitely, that's like having an orchestra without a conductor. And then my neighbor, Directress Carter, said, yes, I've seen choirs function without one, but it's always good to have a leader. It breeds, what did she say? It breeds cohesion. In other words, it brings everybody together. And then my cousin, April Latrice Reed, she said absolutely. And one of my other sisters, Melissa, said absolutely. And then William Pitts, who is a retired music president or music director of music for her church, she had a very large department. She managed that department for 30 years. She's now retired. She said that depends on the musical performance intelligence of the choir. That was a mouthful. She said a director is an asset. But as you know, she said, I'm always the rebel. And so I thought about that. At first when my producer brought it up to me, I right away, my mind was like, yeah, not just because I'm a choir director. That had nothing to do with it. But I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm like, well, yeah, you need a choir director in order to do this. But then when I talked to Demetra and I thought about it, I'm like, she's absolutely right. It depends on the level, the skill set of the people that are in the group. And you may say, maybe not. No. Case in point. A person like myself. Now, I do background vocals for various people when they call me or whatever. Okay. But I also have friends, Navinka Williams, Cornelius Owens. I have Don Mayberry, Elliot Bell, and it's Andrea Brown, Adrian Brown. A lot of us, Vanessa Dukes, a lot of us out there are singers and directors in our own right. Right. So if they called us and told all of us to come together and sing, and if one of them led a song, the rest of us would just fall in line. We don't need somebody standing there, doing this, hitting the head. We don't need that. I mean, first of all of us would learn the song on our own. So I don't need you to teach me because we all know how to sing. We all know how to, for our choirs, we teach the part. So I know how to hear my part. And even if I don't know the song, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to catch on. You sing it once, you run through it once. I got it. I can recognize the music in my part and be able to hum or sing. And I thought about it. I said, well, not really. She's absolutely right. If the people that are singing have that ability and they are like music enthusiasts, they can sing and perform without a director. But then how many people are like that though? That's the question. We don't have that many people out there that are that deep in enthusiasm for music that can sing without somebody leading them. Because I think about it just in the just with the regular choir world that I have participated in. Now, I remember in high school and college, some of the chorales, we didn't have a leader per se. It was just a student that just like we just got up and sang because we all wanted to sing. So we just went over. And then but when we had a mixed multitude of people, let's say people who are new or people who had an agenda, then we had to have a choir director. And I'm saying that in the sense that everybody that is in the choir is not there because they love to sing. You have some people who have hidden agendas. They want to be the director. They want to be the showcase. They want to be, in that case, then you do need a director to step in and help out. But, and I thought about it, I said, and also, it's just, I mean, it's a kaleidoscopic type question to look at because now I'm thinking of something else. But as a whole, and her point is true. But then Alvin brought up a point about, he said it also depends on what type of song. Like if you think about one of my favorite choirs, they're not gospel, but they are a college choir, and I sang in the college choir, and I miss it so much. Oh my goodness. My sister looks at me because of the type of music that you sing, the old Negro spirituals, and how you have to resonate and project. And she kind of looks at me like, I don't like that, but I do. I love it. But in it, they won the 2017, the Aeolians, the Oakwood Aeolians. They won the World Choir Competition, which means they competed against other choirs from other countries, and they were the champions. And Alvin brought up that point that if a choir like that, even though everybody is very skilled, you still need somebody that's more skilled to pull all of that together. And that's true. You need somebody who is gifted, who has an understanding of music, but they also have to be a people person, know how to identify different personality types, have an understanding of psychology, because you got so many different people that you're dealing with. So, I mean, it varies. It really depends on who you're working with. And I kind of look at it as the law. We look at the law and we expect a choir director, to me, in a sense, is like the law. And this is just, we keep it at very high level. We're not going to get all into the specifics of law, of what it's actually doing. But theoretically, the law is really for the lawless, people who don't know how to abide and to do things the right way. And it's also to ensure fairness and equity. And like I said, we're not going to get deep, but I'm just saying on a surface level, I'm talking from a lightweight criminal law and basically a business law perspective. Is there to make sure things are done fairly and done right. And to me, in my mind, that's what I see a choir director is doing. Case in point, if you have somebody that is in the law, if you have a person, two different people that may do something and cause the death of a person, and it's considered depraved indifference. Well, both of them are supposed to be judged on the same level. It's basically second degree manslaughter or something like that, or second degree murder or whatever. The law is supposed to see both of them the same and give them both the same judgment. And we do know how the world works is not necessarily true. It depends on how much money you got and who your lawyer is. But that's the theory of it. And as choir directors, that's part of our job to ensure things are done equitable, that we are fair in what we do and how we do things. Francesca said the skill set and the anointing together. Exactly. And Charlie said, yes, always, because who is going to lead the chorale? You need somebody to lead. Shout out to my Uncle Jack who's watching, or my Aunt Joanne, I don't know which one it is, and Hatcher Roy out there. Good to see you out there. But that's the thing. A choir director is supposed to make sure things are functionally correctly. And I was also thinking we're there to maintain order. And it's like anything else. If you got too many cooks in the kitchen, you can't have multiple people taking the lead position, because everybody doesn't know how to work with people. Everybody doesn't know how to do that. And sometimes it appears that they do, but when I've worked with choirs where you had somebody where you got two people, one person may be up trying to teach a song or whatever, and then you got two other people that can direct, trying to tell them how to direct, how you should sing, how you should teach the song. That's the wrong key. You're supposed to be using the Nashville method. You're on the diatonic scale. You're on the chromatic scale. That is an augmented chord, all of this kind of stuff to prove a point. The director's there to settle that and make sure, no, we don't need that. It's like in Greek mythology, I was reading couple of days ago, and it was talking about, that's what made me think about order and that you have to have somebody in charge. And I was thinking in Greek mythology, they had this multi-headed dog called Orthus, and he was a guard. And it was like he couldn't, he 3 different heads, and he's all over the place trying to figure out who he's supposed to be protecting. I heard he was supposed to be a guard dog. I have no idea. I'm not that deep into Greek mythology. I just read it sometimes just to see what goes on. But when you have a person you need one person designated, and that person needs to be strong. I can tell you that they need to be strong. You can't be a person who has kinship type of mentality, because if you do, you're going to hurt the rest of the folks that's sitting there. If you favor your people, and depending on, let me back this up. It depends on what type of choir you're directing. If you're doing a community choir, you have a little more leeway, because it basically, you have one person that's in charge. If it's a community choir, they pick the song, they do it all. But it's their community choir. You know what I'm saying? It's outside of the norm. But when you have a church choir and you're dealing with a group of volunteers, and these are people that you've been given to work with, you have to be careful how you manage them. You have to be careful the type of order or the type of setting that you have with the group. You have to make sure that there is a clear level of fairness, because you're going to lose people. If I come to rehearsal and I'm skilled, but you don't allow me to do anything because I might be slightly more skilled than you in something, then you're going to lose that person and everybody that's connected to the person. I'm not saying that you have to be a coward. I'm not saying that you don't stand up. But at the same time, you need to know how to maneuver and how to pull people together. That is a skill. In order to maintain order, you need that skill set. You need to be a people person. And some people think it's so easy, all I'm going to do is just stand there and I tell everybody what to do. But guess what? When I have a platform, I don't use it. I use it to maintain order and to help, but I use it primarily to help people, because my thought process is this. When I get a job, like, I recently was presented with an opportunity to be over a choir for a conference that's going to last like 3 days. 3 nights, pretty much. Okay. Going in the door, most people that I know, when they go in the door, the first thing they do, and just to give you an analogy of what it's like, when you have a convention, each night the choir is going to sing anywhere between 4 to 5 songs. Period. You can just bank on it. So if I got a 3-day convention, that means I need to have 20 songs right away that everybody knows. I need to know how many people can direct, how many people can sing. I need to sit there because it's a real job. And a lot of people don't understand that you just don't arbitrarily pick a song out of the air and say, okay, this is what we're doing. No, I may have 20 songs. I say, okay, this is a list. I come up with 20 songs, and then I got to have 5 songs for the offering, or 3 songs or 5 for the offering, because I may plan on 3 or these 3 songs here, but then the atmosphere in the service may not call for that. Then I need to have backup songs just in case I don't have the choir members that I need. You have your strong ones. Some nights you can sing with a choir any song because you got everybody there. But then sometimes you have a choir that's not as strong as the one that you may have had the previous night. So you got your backup list of songs that you're going to call from in order to make the service go. It's really not that simple. A lot of people think it is, but it's not. If you're looking at it as ministry. Okay, in myself, me coming in, I'm not going to walk in there and direct all those songs. It's just an impossibility. I do know some people that will stand there and direct all 20 songs. They will do it all, because in their mindset, that is the way it's supposed to be. And this is my mindset, and I have always been successful in this point. I don't walk in looking to direct everything. You know why? Because in my mindset, you called me to this job because you've already seen what I've done. You already know what I'm capable of doing. You've seen me direct. You've seen me play the organ. You've seen me play the drums. Heard me sing. You heard my choir. So you're calling me in because you already know that I'm qualified. So then in that case, when I go to this conference, chances are I won't direct unless the leader says, I want to see you do it. Because I'm like, everybody already knows. So I will use that platform to promote the rest of the people who are skilled, who may never get that opportunity. I'm going to sit there and make sure they get an opportunity, because it's not about me. It's about the ministry. It's about developing people. It's about growing people and helping them to get better in the ministry, helping them to improve their skills, helping them to develop into better directors. Sometimes, every song is not going to be perfect. I may call a flop. Well, sometimes that happens, and then I may have to get up at that time and make the play. If that person directs and it doesn't come out the way we should, then I may have to get up there and do something. You understand what I'm saying? So, it as being creating an ordered atmosphere, because the choir, the people that are there will respect you based upon how you treat them. If you treat them like they're just a bunch of cattle, and you got a pride and you're going to do what I say and it's all about me, you're going to lose people. But if you have the right spirit and the orderly spirit within yourself, you have to be in leadership. You have to be healed within yourself, because whatever's going on inside of you, you're going to spew it out in front of the people. And if you messed up on the inside, the choir will be messed up. If you're confused on the inside, the choir is confused. It's just because you're open and you become emotional when you're up there directing. If it's a song that you like, you get emotional. So whatever's in you comes out. And if you're giving mixed signals and you're like off beat with the musicians and you're fussing and yelling at people, guess what? That's going to change the whole atmosphere in the group. And then the next time you sing, you may have less people, but then that's on you. So as a director, you have to have order inside of you before you can give order to somebody else. And I didn't mean to really go off on that, but that is what it is. Shout out to Rochelle. Hey there. She has a show on Monday talking about Cancer Warriors Talk. So tune in on Monday to check out her. Hey, Scott. That's my hymn buddy right there. And Crystal, good to see you. Albert, good to see you. And Shanita, glad you're better. Good to see you out there as well. Directors are also responsible for giving directions and settling confusion. And with any group, department, or anything, when you're dealing with emotions, music is an emotional art. I know we try to make it spiritual, and people, let's just face it, everybody doesn't consecrate themselves before they hit that choir stand. Some people just walked out of Popeye's chicken with all this grease and French fries, and they load it down, and you trying to tell them to sing in the key of A flat, and you got to drop it down to C sharp because they can't get there. All right. So, everybody, mine is not there. Some people eat the wrong food. Yeah, I mean, you got all kinds. People don't realize you have all kinds of stuff going on. People come up with the silliest things. And you sitting there looking like you waited 5 minutes before showtime to tell me that this is really? You've been sitting there a half hour and you decide to walk up to me 5 minutes before we're about to walk up there and tell me something that I can't control. All right. So you spend half your time giving directions. Sometimes before the group perform, I tell them all, make sure you drink plenty of water. Make sure your clothes are right. Fix the hems. Make sure your tie is right. Make sure you got breath mints in your pocket. Stay away from the onions. You have to give direct. Is that you have to give directions. That's all I can say. Even when people are singing, you need to know the material well enough so that when somebody is singing, you can tell them that's not the note. You're flat. You're below the note. And because, most people can't hear. Moving on. You have to let them know where they are. And then you got people that are trying to tell somebody, well, I know how to sing. Not necessarily, because if you did, you wouldn't sound the way you do. You got all kinds of people that you have to deal with. So you have to be firm in what you're doing. This is why we need choir directors, but we need directors who are not afraid to give direction. You cannot be timid and afraid and scared. Well, if I don't tell them, or if I do tell them, they may walk away. You're going to have turnover anyway, because everybody doesn't like to follow leadership. So you're going to have turnover, but if you're fair and consistent in what you do and you give clear directions, you're going to get a group of people that are going to follow you anyway. I mean, some people want to have that. They want to sing. They want to be with. An ideal choir director is a person that knows where they're going. They have goals. And if you're teaching me, and if I can out teach you, then chances are I'm not going to follow you. If I'm in choir rehearsal and we have a song, and I've seen this where we're in rehearsal and the person who's leading all over us has no musical background really. And you got those of us who have musical background. And, let me just throw this out here. Even in that case, I still would try to work with you and follow you. I'm not one of those people that try to embarrass you, because you don't know and I know, and I'm going to try to embarrass you. I won't do that. I'll just sit there and be like, well, until you ask. I'm not that type of person. Now, there are people that sitting there that will yank the rug off from under you. I'm not about that, because I believe you will reap what you sow, because everybody doesn't know everything about every subject. In some arenas, I'm not that gifted. I'm gifted when it comes to music and math, but maybe not in medicine or some other subject. But my job, or a director's job, is to maintain order and give direction. If somebody is trying to usurp or take over from a person, then it's your job to step up and correct that. I've seen that where they just let a person almost like get beat up. And it's like, you're supposed to stand and let and be like, excuse me, this is not happening here. This person is up. And if that person gets a little, whatever, then the director's job is to stand up and correct the situation. A lot of times I had to do that. When I seen people, I can tell when a person, they may be a junior director or a staff director and they're struggling, then I will step up and kind of smooth it over a little bit and, like, oh, okay, let me help you out a little bit, just a little bit, because you have to watch both. Because if you have a staff director and they're not getting over or communicating like they should be, then it's your job to watch. You're watching the choir and you're watching the director. And when you see frustration start building on the choir, then that means you need to step up and settle the confusion. Step up and help that director, as well as settle the confusion in the choir. You have to set direction. And that's not easy, because a lot of times, especially if it's somebody that gets on your nerves, sometimes you sit there and you're like, I'm going to let you struggle. You know that's not right. You're supposed to get up and help them out. Sometimes you want to sit there and let them just struggle. And let them know that this is not as easy as it looks. But that's part of your job, keeping direction, keeping everybody focused on what the agenda is, and maintaining the right atmosphere and the right spirit in the group. I don't know why I'm in a teaching mode right now, but I'm trying not. It's my producer's fault. He the one that brought up this question. Hey, Chris Holloway, good to see you. And another point is for accountability. Sometimes as directors, we can get sideswiped in the sense that we get so engrossed in our job that we forget to delegate. And we wear ourselves thin because we're trying to do so much. This is the age of the multitasking. Everybody trying to do multi things. I'm listening to you. I'm typing to this person. I got this going on, and we're in that society. As directors, we have to learn to hold other people in your group that's accountable. If you have people that want to help you, whether it's social media, whether it's making the announcements, whether it's collecting the funds, whether it's directing, whether it's help teaching, if you have people that are capable to help you teach, they can teach well, not somebody that say they can teach and then they get up and no, you don't need anybody that's tearing down what you're trying to build. But you have to learn how to delegate. That's part of your job as leadership. You're not supposed to be doing everything. I am one of those people. I refuse to do everything. No. Because I want to live. I'm not trying to die earlier than what I'm supposed to, right? So then you need to develop people and have a staff that you can share the responsibility with. And in order to keep that department functioning the way that it should function. Because sometimes, like I said, we can get overwhelmed and we're like, well, I'm going to do it. If I don't do it, I'm going to do it all because I want it done a particular way. Okay, if you got a choir and it's small and you don't have that many talented people, you might be able to get away with that. But if you got 25 or more people in the choir, or even 15 or more people, you don't have time to be doing everything. Even though my choir is small, I don't do everything. Oh, no way. I'm in the process of rebuilding my choir, so that's why I don't take many engagements right now. Because I got some new people in there and I need to train them. They need to be confident because we sing before a lot of different people. And if you're not confident in your singing and you start singing in front of like the Brown sisters or, the Lennox and people like that, you're going to freeze. I don't have time for that. So I'm in the process of rebuilding them. But even in this group that I have, I really don't teach them. Oh no, the ones who know, I've already done that. So all I'm going to do is send you a YouTube link and you go get it. And you do what you're supposed to do. I got somebody else responsible for the dues. I got somebody else helping me. No. So you have to learn as a director, give direction and hold people accountable. You have to learn how to do that. If not, you're going to wear yourself thin. And you're going to have to retire earlier than what you anticipate because you worn yourself thin. You don't want to do that. Okay, so back to my producer's question. Are choir directors necessary? Yes, we are. I only hit 3 bullet points. I think I did a show, almost 2 years ago, and I think I may have had 17 or 18 things. I need to pull that out and break it up in like 3 parts and go over that. We are definitely necessary, but we need choir directors that really love the job. Not people who are using it as a stepping stone to fame. We have a lot of that. A lot of people get into it just because they want to be, they want their name on the platform. You know what? And a lot of times when you do that, when you're not about the ministry, but you're about the fame, you're about the recognition, you're about the name dropping, you're about that. When you do that, you lose a lot. People don't really gravitate to you when they see, because what you fail to realize is what spirit is in you is flashed before you even open your mouth. People can look at you and tell when you know the subject and you're versed in what you do. And they also can look at you and tell when you all about the show. And once the show is over, I'm done, whatever. But as a choir director, you definitely need to be a people person. You need to love people. If you don't love people, don't be a choir director because you're going to run the folks away. If being a choir director, you need to understand music. You need to have some type of musical understanding of theory, of notation. You need to understand some things in order to teach people. That's how the choir will develop confidence in you, because they see that you take the time to study. What does the Bible tell us? Study to show yourself approved, a workman that need not be ashamed. And the other part is rightly dividing the word of truth. But you need to study and prepare yourself before you reach their rehearsal. Don't let the people come and be disgusted because you're not ready. So, I mean, you need to be a person that is prepared. You need a person that has a walk with Christ, because you're dealing with biblical proportions, things that are biblical in nature. So you would need to know the Bible, I would think. Amen, somebody. All right. But and all around, you need to be fair. I've always told people that you don't have to be a Christian to be fair. That should just be a standard part of your personality. Understanding how you feel if you are unfairly treated. And that's why I said we need to be healed, because sometimes we are in choral ministries where we're not treated fairly. And if we're not healed, when we become in leadership, we'll pour that same poison onto the people, and we'll hurt people unnecessarily. Okay? So that's all I got on tonight. I hope that answered my producer's question. I heard him laugh a couple of times, so I guess I did my job. I want to thank all of you for tuning in on tonight. Intellectual Radio, thank you so much for joining me on tonight. Facebook fam, thank you so much for joining me. I think you all were more or less listening to me. I didn't see you all saying too much. All I see is yay, and smiles and hearts. So that means you enjoyed what I said. Tune in next week. We got another topic for you. I think you're going to enjoy it. We'll see. I don't know. You might. But until then, you all have a great evening. Love you all, and